Alright, welcome to Choujin X Chapter 74. This is one that I'm going to be doing as well, or trying to do, as the chapters come out. But Tsui Ishida just dropped another one. And while the war is still raging on in the background, this chapter slows things down to focus more on Tokyo, stepping into the mentor role with fresh blood. It's giving major callbacks, subtle foreshadowing, and that signature Ishida character sauce. So we're going to run through a template that I have going through different sections, just like I have for most of these videos. So we'll go ahead and get started. Chapter 74 picks up in the current wartime arc with Tokyo Kurahara as a hardened squad leader. We're past the big Zora stuff and deep into the conflict involving factions like Guelta and Guelta 2. With the chapter title, it shows that we have new Choujin recruits that are joining Tokyo's ragtag group, and Ishida uses this as a vehicle to explore dreams, humanity, and what war does to people who can turn into monsters. It's not a pure action chapter, it's more introspective and setup heavy, but the callbacks and parallels make it hit pretty well. Moving on to the pacing and structure of the chapter, the pacing for this one is pretty breezy and well balanced. Not slow, but deliberately measured after heavier chapters. It opens up with some lighter, almost humorous moments, that classic Ishida tonal whiplash with the quick jokes about mods, the plastic surgery for Chonin, and a wild opener that most fams can meme. Then shifts into dialogue heavy scenes. Structure wise, some key points would be early pages handle side conversations. We have Jing and Minami talking about Ellie. Next point would be mid chapter focuses on Tokyo interacting with the new recruits. After that, we got the interwoven backstories, a dream and flashback sequence, and character intros, then moving to it closing with the new squad dynamic setting in. No big fight at this time, but the tension builds through implications and mirrors to earlier chapters. It's structured like a training and mentorship type of episode or a chapter that we have, but with the war looming over everything. Most people are calling it a nice breather that still advances the character threads effectively. Moving on to the character components we have in this chapter. For it, we have typical Ishida character writing. Love the parallels and the growth that we have. First, we'll start off with Tokyo. He's evolved hard. From the bystander kid to this barefoot, hands in pockets, superhuman endurance running veteran leader who's definitely seen some shit. He's now asking the new recruits the same kind of "what's your dream?" questions that Sandek once asked him and Ellie. I think it's a beautiful full circle moment, showing how he's internalized the lessons to help others stay human amid the chaos. His nonchalant, detached demeanor about the war's toll is pretty chilling, but it fits for the arc, especially everything that we've seen him go through before this whole thing kind of transpired. Moving to Shant, they like to call her Arles Shant or Arles Shant, I don't know how it's pronounced, but straight up mirror to young Tokyo, giving stock and generic answers about dreams. Doesn't have a strong personality drive yet. The paneling apparently mirrors older chapters as well, from what I've seen people talk about, which is a thing that Ishida always ends up doing. He's definitely a blank slate with huge potential under Tokyo's wing. Moving on to rhetoric, or Koimori rhetoric, the standout new face, countryside Choujin rookie who's obsessed with the mark, dreams of becoming a famous musician who heals people's hearts, loves his family deeply, and sees violence as pure evil. He's idealistic and a bit goofy, early parallels with how Ellie was, but a little bit more annoying, I think. Most people I've seen are already theorizing that his powers are pretty cracked and probably a supporting or healer type, or kind of a flashy or energy based deal, especially since he's been thrown to the front lines relatively untrained. His violence is evil worldview is going to clash hard with this war, I think. Lastly, we'll go over the supporting cast. Jing and Minami get some shine with their decision to join Guelta for mods and tech. Jing's modding and duplication stuff gets tied into bigger power systems. Ellie gets name dropped in the context of her thief self-description. Minor characters like Laban add a little bit of levity. The whole squad is evolving from ragtag fighters into something with more personality. Next, we'll dive into the story progression and lore components for the chapter. Story-wise, we're progressing the war arc by showing how armies are replenishing forces with new Choujin recruits. Tokyo Squad is actively integrating them, turning chaos into something more organized. It advances the "how do you keep your humanity when you're a weapon" theme. Some key lore drops and revelations that I found from this chapter. Firstly, we have evil is theft. Shant drops this line later in the chapter. Early on, we have Jing Minami discussing Ellie calling her a thief. Ishida doesn't do throwaway lines. This feels like a deliberate foreshadowing here. Next, we have the mods and the mark. Guelta 2 has access to modifications and tech that can mitigate the mark's effect on Choujin, specifically on the spirit side. This ties into Jing's ability and broader power systems, possible Nom-Nimmer cloning connection speculated. Next point is dreams as a coping mechanism. So the recurring motif of asking Choujins about their dreams is expanded as a way to combat despair and maintain sanity in war. This started from Sandek asking Tokyo, and then Ellie again asking Tokyo after gaining the mark as well. Our next point with war context deepens, references to front lines, drone warfare implications, and how even powered individuals are affected. Moge or Moog appears as a key area, and the mark's mysterious significance continues. Bobby's samurai dream and the flashback point, very cool. Last point we'll get into is character parallels across time and factions, hint at thematic cycles in this world. Tokyo with Arulu and Rhetoric with Ellie. What this does is set up future conflicts. So how will these idealistic new recruits handle the brutality? What does the mark really mean long term? Stuff like that. Moving on to my final thoughts of the chapter. These chapters are always great whenever Ishida gets to release them. It's not the flashiest or most explosive Choujin X chapter, but it's one of those quiet, high-quality character pieces Ishida excels at. The parallels, the mentorship role for Tokyo, the introduction of Shant and especially Rhetoric, who I saw a lot of people ended up taking a liking to, and the subtle lore or foreshadowing, evil is theft especially, making it definitely rereadable. So maybe that's something that I do in the future as well. It shows Ishida still has full control of the story's soul, even in this war arc. He's trying to balance, I think, the spectacle with humanity. The art always remains god tier, even in the quieter moments too. And I think, with the amount of time he spends drawing these scenes for these chapters, it only takes a long time, I think, because of them being dialogue heavy or very intense art heavy. Overall, my rating for this chapter is a strong 8.5 or a 9 out of 10. Perfect setup for whatever is to come next with these new recruits. I'm definitely hyped to see what Rhetoric's power reveal will be, how Tokyo's mentorship ends up playing out, and where that evil is theft line goes. That's going to do it for this video. Let's see what everybody thinks of this chapter. Who's your favorite, Shant or Rhetoric, of the new additions that we have? Drop any theories or anything that you think might be possibly to come in the future for future chapters, if anything is crazier than I had suspected here. But with that being said, please feel free to see next time for any more Choujin X content. I plan on trying to do them as they come out. So with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. All right, see ya.